Good morning, everybody. It's Connor here. It's One Leeds. We're back with your kind of Sunderland preview and your Leeds United bits, your Leeds United news. Make sure you're slapping a like on the video. Make sure you're checking out the content from over the weekend, which has been interesting, hasn't it? God, a poor weekend for the Whites. It has to be said, a poor weekend for the Whites. Leicester coming out on top after they beat Birmingham and obviously Ipswich and Leeds United losing. It's a fantastic weekend for Leicester City. Obviously, with that game in hand as well, it gives them the advantage. They go top of the table with that game, which is just hanging on in the background, which with Leicester City's win rate in this division, even if they have been off colour for however many weeks, that extra game is going to be absolutely monumental, you do feel, in their automatic promotion venture. So everybody, before we start, we've got merchandise as well, which is available, link in the description below. We've got Patreon content, link in the description below. You can become a YouTube member for £2 a month as well. Hit join in the section below as well. Well worth it. So, yeah, what are we looking at right now? Well, the table doesn't lie. Leeds United are in third as we speak. I am heading back to the dark side of the Pennines, and I will be coming back tomorrow night to watch Leeds against Sunderland, and nothing to play for. That is the key message of this week. Nothing to play for. And that's Sunderland, and that's Blackburn. So, when you're looking at those two sides, I don't believe Blackburn are going to get in the playoffs. Sunderland have got absolutely nothing to play for whatsoever. And ironically, Blackburn went to Sunderland and stuffed them 5-1. So this is what we're coming up against now. Sunderland are not playing well, but they weren't playing well leading into the game with us last time when we were completely stifled at the Stadium of Light. So that needs to change. What else needs to change? I think personnel. People were reflecting on the video that I made a day before yesterday, and suddenly they were coming back with an almost sort of calming mindset yesterday on the video, saying we don't need to change anything, it's all fine, everybody's overreacting, which normally happens after you put out a reaction video to a football game if it's gone negative and if it's got a bit of a negative reaction. I think Leeds do need changes. Charlie Cresswell is someone who I'll be looking at 100% in the set-piece sphere. Obviously, we've spoken about Willian Jonso, who's a better player than Dan James, and I would be looking at Joseph. Now, reality-wise, likelihood-wise, what is going to happen there? Bamford will keep his place. I think there is a genuine option, a genuine potential, I should say, of Nonso coming in for Dan James. I think there is potential there. Cresswell's never going to get into this team at all. So I think the likelihood right now is that we probably see Willian Jonso coming in instead of Dan James. And I like that option. Would that help your Bamfords? Probably, in a strange sort of way, because maybe you're getting something more from the right than what you would get with Dan James, who just seems to be so wasteful at the minute on that right-hand side, especially since Willian Jonso's been out. Overall, the package and how we're looking ahead to this midweek fixture game week is Leeds can go top. Leeds can get into the automatic playoffs tomorrow, as Wednesday is obviously when Ipswich play. Leicester City are playing tomorrow night as well in their away game against Millwall. So overall, everybody, it's a real opportunity for the Whites to get back there. It's a real opportunity to put the pressure back on Ipswich again, because it will be back on Ipswich. And obviously with them hosting Watford, who were unbeaten in 4, that is what we've got to hope for now, because once again, with Leeds doing what they've done at the weekend, that means it is not in our hands. With Leeds bottling it against Coventry, it means it is not in our hands. And you look at the remaining fixtures, and I personally don't think... I think Coventry is one of the hardest, I do, but I still think there are almost games that are level with Coventry in terms of difficulty. We've still got Southampton, last day of the season, which I think... We don't look into the past too much, but Coventry and then maybe another win with an Ipswich slip-up, that almost means that it's not going to go down to the last day, because it's going to be a 90 to 95% record for the Whites on the run-in. So, yeah, but now it feels like it is going to go down to the wire, down to that Southampton game, which is just so Leeds United, it's unbelievable. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out. I think, when we look at the two teams in Ipswich and Leicester, there's not in Ipswich, Leicester, and obviously Leeds, the 3 teams, there's not that much between them. And I think you've got to look at 3 teams now performing poorly, not just Leeds. It is Ipswich as well. You know, Blackburn weren't great. Southampton, they were much poorer team against Southampton as well. Blackburn, I think they were the poorer team in that as well. And Norwich, they were the worst team in that game as well. So that's 3 successive games, but they have got 2 wins, you know, in those games. Obviously, Leeds United have drawn one, won one, and now lost one in games where we've not been playing well. So Ipswich probably still come out on top in those 3 games where they've been playing poorly with the 2 wins. So yeah, it's one of those times in the season that we all know you have to just perform and get it over the line. You know, get it over the line, win your games, and get up. These are the toughest games, but what we can't afford to do now is have this blip. 2 wins on the bounce, we'll get confidence higher again. You know, obviously then going to Middlesbrough, I believe it is. And then you've got 2 games left of the season, QPR and Southampton. But if they're able to get 9 wins, 9 points out of 9, that is going to give them, you know, they're going to put themselves in a really, really good position when it comes to the final outcome. But we cannot afford any more slip-ups. I don't want to be hearing online, oh, that's the toughest game. That's another tough game, Borough. We were expecting it was always going to be a point, or it was always going to be a difficult game. Look, we go there and we win. We got the better team. We had the better team against Coventry. We've got the better quality side. We still had the better quality side out. We had Gruev back in the side. You know, Nonto and Roberts were back on the bench. There was no real excuse. But the team looked flat. They looked like there was a lack of intensity, a lack of ideas at points. You know, the key thing with Sunderland is they've done it before against Leeds, scored to 0, and they've done it under this manager, the caretaker manager, and they're in a poor run of form then as well. So we're probably going to see a scenario tomorrow night where you've got Jack Clarke being the main sort of body in their attack. Joe Bellingham, who played really well against us, is obviously going to be almost that box-to-box midfielder. Jack Clarke needs to be paid special attention to. I didn't think I'd be saying this. I really didn't. But I would be resting Archie. I would be keeping Glenn in there. I don't think he played well the other day, but I wonder in a 90-minute game with Gruev, who's pretty much been his full partner for the season now, how he'd fare. I think he'd be all right in there. I think it's probably the best option. I think Archie needs a rest. I really do. I think Archie needs a rest. Realistically, I think really that right side needs to be changed. I think you either look at a Byron right back, who probably Sam deserves it right now because when he's been in, you know, he's done well against Philogene. And you do wonder, you know, if Daniel Farker, who obviously loves him, is just going to keep him in there. It is one of those, and Archie came in and he didn't play well at all. He was completely off. I thought completely off the other day, and he's only a young lad. Or do you then put Connor Roberts in? The beauty is you've then got options to replace Archie, haven't you? You've got your Connor Roberts, your Sam Byrams on that right hand side who can do a really, really decent job. So that's something that's a positive. Firpo's been excellent on the other side. You keep him in. The centre backs, you keep them in. I'd go with Glenn and I'd go with Archie. Up top, I'd be going with Willie, Rutter, Somerville. You know, that 3 were absolutely unbelievable up to the Millwall game. And then, obviously, the international break happened as well. And then Nonto's that it was disrupted. And since then, I think it's been so average, our front line. I really do. You know, and it's just been bolstered by a kid off the bench. I'm not going to speak about Joseph too much because there's no point. I don't think there's any point. I think he's not going to start. I think Farker said, really, in his last press conference that the reason he wants to keep, essentially, you know, players in there is because he wants to keep continuity. But I would go against that a little bit. I don't think you need to change the whole side, but I think when you literally get in underperformers, 3 or 4 underperformers who have now shown for 2 or 3 games that level is not being reached anymore, I think there needs to be rotation. Do I think Daniel Farker will do that? No. What do I think is going to happen? I think it's going to be the exact same team as the other night. Against the same team against Coventry. I think we're going to be looking at a back line of Archie, Rodon, Ampadu, Firpo. I think there's going to be a centre defensive midfield partnership of Glenn and Elia. And I think there is going to be actually, it was different, wasn't it? Because you had Sam. Yeah, so you had Sam. So I think Archie will come back to right back. I think you're going to get Glenn. And I think you're going to get Elia in that central defensive midfield. So what's going to happen is Sam's going to be dropped. And then what I think is going to happen is you're going to have James, Rutter, Somerville and Bamford. That's how I think it's going to play out, everybody. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. It's been interesting few days, everybody. Brendan Aaronson's also been speaking about Leeds and saying that he's watching with a shrewd eye, and that he's keeping an eye on proceedings, and it's been the most difficult moment of his career being at Berlin and all this sort of stuff. So we'll see how that plans out with Brendan Aronson. But guys, let me know what you think. How do you think these mixed midweek fixtures are going to go? Are Leeds going to prosper? Are Ipswich going to fall? Are Leicester going to fall? Or is it going to be a full sweep for all clubs? I'm predicting a full sweep, win, win, win. And we are going to be where we are going into the weekend. But, you know, there are some tougher games at the weekend. Obviously, Leicester go away to Plymouth. Home park's never easy. And then you've obviously got a home game for Ipswich against Middlesbrough, Leeds playing Blackburn. So I think there could be more points dropped that weekend, to be honest with you, instead of right now going into these midweek games. Let me know what you think, everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure. Make sure you check out the merch, like the video, and I'll see you on the other side. Cheers.